December 23rd, 2021. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Lear?
Present.
Mr. Swanson? Mr. Hess? Ms. Polk?
Present.
Ms. Weber? Present. Mr. Payton?
Present.
Ms. Parker? Present. Mr. Fairfield?
Present.
Mr. Featherling?
Present.
Mr. Dunnell? Mr. Miller? Mr. Long?
Present.
Mr. Hunter?
Present.
Mr. Raymond?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Seagray?
Present. Mr.
We have a quorum.
I have no request for public comment. Are there any public comments? Seeing no request for public comments, we move to the minutes of November 24th, 2021. Ms. Parker, a motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Fairfield? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We move to the Finance Department. Mr. McCarty, if you want to come up. You have the miscellaneous financial reports available. You can start reviewing those as Mr. McCarty comes up. Good morning.
Good morning.
And what can you tell us about the financial reports?
Well, overall, it's good news. So that's a lot of good news today. Good time of year to have good news. Sales tax continues its positive climb. I'm researching. I think I'm getting close to the answer to that. I hope by the time I find it, it doesn't change. So yeah, that's extremely positive. Income tax, as you see, ended the year 731,000 higher than FY20 for the fiscal totals. So that's a positive change. Use tax, I think the change is because of the sales tax change. PPRT, the personal property replacement tax, ended up 751,000 higher in 21 than in 20, so that's positive. So yeah, a lot of positive things. So,
Other questions on the financial reports? Well, it's easy not to ask questions when it's positive, so we'll celebrate that and say that's a great Christmas gift.
Yes. So yeah, we're working on the year end. We still have 2 more months of sales tax that will go towards FY21. So we don't have the final, fiscal total yet. So we're starting to work on that. But there's still a lot of work to do. But we won't have that probably till the February meeting. So
that's standard.
Yep. But there's no other question. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, if there are no other questions, I understand there's no claims not recommended for approval, so we'd move to monthly claims. Is there a motion to approve the monthly claims? Mr. Featherling, Dr. Polk seconds. Any questions on the monthly claims? Any discussion? Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lear?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Aye. Mr. Payton?
Aye.
Ms. Parker? Aye. Mr. Fairfield?
Aye.
Mr. Featherling?
Aye.
Mr. Dunnell?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter?
Aye.
Mr. Raymond?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Cash flow update.
Yeah, for the cash flow update, we have not only fiscal year 21, but we opened up the projections for everyone to look at through June of 22. That is usually the lowest point before the property tax distribution, so the lowest point of cash. So not a lot of concern at this point. We've estimated a number of changes that we expect here soon with that. So we also have a 3 payroll month in January. So this is one of the first months that first time showing this report that that number did not drop. The June number did not drop into below 2 million or even below 1 million. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the graph that we'll look at next, but I wanted to show you projections, and we'll continue to estimate and watch this very closely, but right now it's all good news at this point, so getting through June. So I don't know if there's any specific questions on that.
I'm looking for questions if you have any. Once again, when it's good, see, not often quite as necessary to ask any questions, so if there are no questions, we can move on. General Fund 1130 cash on hand discussion.
Yes. So we crossed a milestone, so I wanted to bring this to your attention, and also put some perspective on it, but I think it's important to show these are as we cross the fiscal year per those years. So as 11/30 that is the last day of our fiscal year. So for the first time in 12 years, the general fund crossed the fiscal year at 11/30 threshold with a positive cash balance, so of $1,045,000. So that is equivalent to one payroll out of 26. So from a perspective, you want to say where should we be, you can just turn it upside down, so, and change the numbers to positive. Obviously we'll never get to $26 million of cash on hand, but to get to 6 or 7 million would be we could then say that we're in the right neck of the woods. So this is a positive trend, obviously, from where we've been, and it's certainly nice to for the cash flow, because when these years the deepest hole would happen, we would be negative. This report would start to show up negative almost now, December, January area, and the accounts payable had to be delayed, and borrowing just to get through May and June. So it's nice to continue to pay bills and have a positive, outlook as far as cash flow. So, I think even though we're not anywhere near where we absolutely need to be, and we could say it's the proper size, I think this is an important milestone to stop and take notice of. So I think congratulations on this milestone, on Chairman Wheeler, this finance committee, the board, all the elected and appointed officials, employees, because everybody felt something going through these last 12 years who have been here. But I also want to specifically identify Sheriff Downey and his staff, and them keeping up with the ebbs and flows of the bed rental program, are also critical, and it's been critical to our recovery since 2016. So it's good news, but it's not perfect news. So I'm sorry I have to put a little perspective on it, that we still have quite a ways to go, but I think it's something to stop and take notice of. So.
What impact, if any, might this have in terms of our bond rating?
Well, it certainly is a positive note, but they're very cautionary on raising us really fast. They drop us fast, but they don't raise us fast. But it certainly will definitely help. Yes, everything moves. Yeah, we're moving in a positive direction, and they have noticed that. But unfortunately, the moves are very slow going back up.
I believe at one point the board had a policy, not so much in terms of cash balance, but in terms of fund balances.
Fund balances, yeah.
And
that's a different discussion.
That's a different discussion.
That's a different discussion.
Any question or comments here? Seeing none, is there anything more you have?
From general wise, no. We got
All right,
ARPA stuff.
Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a question, but before that, the comment would be, I'm not sure if folks know what it's like to start a budget year having a $7 million shortage of cash, and what that means when you're borrowing next year's taxes to pay this year's bills. That was the cycle we were in, and we thought we were in it for 20 years. And through, like, as Mr. McCarty said, it was, you know, the financial model that was maintained at you know, in corrections, the sheriff's department, it was not spending and getting out of the hole. You know, a few short years ago, we were staring at that number, and we're out of the hole. We just can't go back there, and that's our mission as finance, as we see our revenues under attack from the state, mainly the state. They're our biggest competitor, if you will, as far as revenue goes right now, and it's a shame that they're working against us like this, but we're dealing with it. But there's going to be some hard work here in a couple of years that we're going to have to slide into. As we talked about the way we've done our budgets and the way we've done the corporate, tort, and pensions. We're not underfunding our pensions. We're not dipping into that to cover things off. But just as a reminder, it's not time to celebrate. It's time to reconfirm that commitment towards that $6 or $7 million number that Steve says. That's so we're not borrowing anything from anybody. And we're living on what the taxpayers are giving us, not ahead of them.
Well, to put a finer point, the word borrowing, I think, may be a little too gentle because it doesn't emphasize that borrowing means you have to pay interest, which increases the cost to the local taxpayers. And so when we're avoiding paying interest, that becomes a huge plus.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh yeah, the one thing, threats, Steve, to our cash flow. You know, I'm thinking ahead. Most you guys know that I'm looking what happens next year, what happens later this year. Is inflation and the subsequent, I say, rubber band effect on people spending, is that something we should be concerned with and really look at sales tax through the next year? Because that to me is our new barometer, if you will, I think, and to getting through a budget year.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing the research on the sales tax, not only why the increase, but then what other impacts could that rebound if it's inflationary. You know, yeah, there's a number of things. You know, what also hit us from the economic impact from 2009 was the EAV change. Property and property values and the EAB, you know, that was a huge hit for a number of years before that changed. So yeah, there's a number of economic factors that can always affect our you know, monthly flow, you know, and then the big picture, like property tax, you know, the whole property tax cycle and stuff that happens, you know, certain times of the year. So
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? If not, we'll move to the ARPA funding requests. We have two requests under lost revenue. Would you want to speak to either one of those?
yeah, I'm aware of the dollar amount for the circuit clerk, the additional copper unit, and for the to go to add on to the big maintenance, not only the maintenance but the big project. There was one that fell through the cracks, so it's $16,499.99, and it is will go along with the others. New copy of printers, and this one for the circuit clerk. So.
Mr. Nutter.
No, just gonna approve it.
All right. If it's okay with the board, could, well, no, we need to do separate on these, yeah. So we need then, if there's no questions on that, a motion to approve this request. Mr. Hunter's motion to approve, Mr. Featherling seconds.
Merry Christmas.
Any further discussion on this one? If there's no further discussion, this is a roll call.
Mr. Lear?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Mr. Payton? Ms. Parker? Mr. Fairfield? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Dunnell?
Aye.
Mr. Long? Mr. Hunter? Mr. Raymond? Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, the morgue system.
I don't have anything specific on that. I don't know if there's a range that we're approving.
Mr.
or what
Wheeler?
We're doing there.
I think the coroner is prepared to discuss that. He has the information.
All right, Mr. Kavanaugh, would you want? Or is Mr. Kestner here? Yeah, Mr. Kestner's here. I see him in the back. That's too far back. My eyesight's not that good. Do you want to say anything on that? No.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
This is just on your air filtration HAVEX system.
We coming up.
Yeah, you can use this one.
All right, I'll let you have it.
Good morning. I want to talk a little bit about our air handling unit out there at the morgue, not in our office wise. We're having problems with that. We're into like an emergency situation right now where we're not getting the negative pressure. We built we got through the ARPA funds a machine that shows us about that air handling unit, and we're unable to get negative pressure right now and air filtration at all into the morgue, which we need to have. It's a must that we have that in this modern with the COVID. We're as you can see, it's getting higher and higher, and we don't know what we're getting in there. So this is what I say: it's an emergency situation because it's not running right now, and we're protected as much as possible. But if we have to move a lot of those patients, we would have to move them up to Cook County if we had to. I think we can do enough of repairs, but I did get a couple of quotes of what that cost. The first one I got in there was a little bit over the 30,000, about 35,000, which the second quote is underneath that, and it will fit into our particular area. Our biggest problem is the cottonwoods back there. The cottonwoods are just destroying us because of, and we thought about putting a fence in there, but then you're taking the air out of there, you know. So we're working on that. We're maybe putting a mesh. There's a new, in this one system here, there's a mesh that comes with that, can block that out. But we need to have that maintenance every month to be able to double check to see if that's working. It's something that I think, as I say, I think it's declared an emergency right now that we have to get that done, because there's even holes in the vents where whenever it rains or it doesn't snow as of yet, but yet it gets into those vents there and they're rusty. We took a look at that. I'm working with Pat O'Connell, who knows, who put us together out there in 2005. He said it's really bad. We're lucky to hold on to it right now. So the other quote that which I can get you, it'll be far under, probably right around 25,000, probably under that. That's at a high quote, 25. We don't know how bad the air handling units are the vents are. We think they're all right, but outside we don't. So that's what we're working on right now. And I think instead of going way over on the other one there, this one here will work. But the other one with 35 will bring it up so we can get underneath it and be able to clean that. But again, that's going to be over 35,000 probably. So I'm satisfied with this here, the company that we have here, and that's why I'm coming to you today. It's something I have to do immediately. I don't want to endanger my staff or my doctors, and I know either you guys do. So, and you know that I speak the truth on that. So, we do have a new machine there, but it, like I say, it's just bringing us out with negative pressure. We've had people out there from all different companies and saying that machine is about gone. So I'll leave that up with any questions you have. If we hopefully can get this in the ARPA, or otherwise it's going to have to come out of the general fund.
So if this is declared an emergency situation, we can move without bids, is that?
He's got a couple of quotes, and yes, and that's why we were speaking with State's Attorney's Office, and I don't know if you have any comment what the result of those conversations were.
I think if you want to make a comment on that, we talked and we had a good talk on that.
Okay.
No, we did talk about it, and based upon the conversation with Coroner Gessner, I think you're okay declaring it an emergency because I think it would fit the qualifications, and so it would not need to be bid out at that point.
All right. So,
Do we want to say not to exceed number, Mr. Chairman? Or, because it's an emergency, and just put like 36 on it? Would you agree, Steve, and do you see this as ARPA eligible?
Well, if I could ask a question here, this negative pressure, it was able to do that before, and that's a health protection,
That's a health
and
protection.
now it's no longer able to do that.
We're right there. Sometimes we're in a positive situation where we're not been negative, so we put that new,
All right, then I believe, being that it was already there and it's had a problem, I think we can go direct ARPA. I don't have the codes in front of me right now. I think 1.8 is the number, but I would have to verify that.
can we have that clarified by the time of the full board, do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, if we have that, Mr. Featherin.
Can I add something quick?
I'm sorry.
I think it was in September, the committee approved the monitoring device for the negative pressure, and it was 1.8 that fell under. So I think that this would fall under that as well. And without the update, the money that we've already invested is no good because it won't work properly with the system.
Mr. Featherin?
I'd like to just make a motion to accept not to exceed $1 on that. Mr. Gessner, what do you think that the 30,000 or
36 was a recommendation.
36 was a recommendation by the guy who installed it and did it originally, who knows the system in and out?
yeah, like I said, I have two shots there. That would raise us, and that would give us all the vents that we have be all replaced.
Okay, how long you expect that to last?
I don't know, I haven't been able to.
No, I mean, how long to get it done, and how long you think it would last? Is that a temporary fix, or is that a permanent
No, that's
fix?
a full fix.
That's a full fix, permanent fix. Okay.
All right, so
Mr. Steve.
we have a motion. Is there a second? Ms. Parker? Seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
Aye.
Ms. Weber, Mr. Payton, Ms. Parker, Mr. Fairfield, Mr. Featherly,
Aye.
Mr. Dennell, Mr. Long, Mr. Hunter, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Wheeler. Motion carries.
Mr. Wheeler?
Just a procedural question for Steve. Steve, will we need to have a resolution at the full board for Department of Treasury to see that as backup?
It would be, yeah, that would be.
Okay, so you'll still see it, but we're approving it here. It's gonna move forward, but we still need to pass it at full board, even though it's already in motion. Just for Treasury.
For the Treasury, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I can go ahead and order that.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll move on then.
Thanks.
Sure. ARPA for Kankakee Valley Theater Association. Is there a motion to approve the request?
Oh,
Dr. Polk, motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Fairfield? Any discussion? Did you have anything on it, Steve? You want to add?
Unless there's a question.
All right, you have the information. It qualifies. A roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
aye.
Ms. Weber, Mr. Payton, Ms. Parker, Mr. Fairfield, Mr. Featherling, Mr. Dennell, Mr. Long, Mr. Hunter, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Wheeler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Limestone Township Fire Protection District. Mr. Long, motion to approve. Mr. Featherling, second. Any discussion? You have the information in your packet. Disqualified, right? Disqualified. Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Aye. Mr. Payton? Aye. Ms. Parker? Aye. Mr. Fairfield? Aye. Mr. Featherling?
Aye.
Mr. Dunnell?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Mr. Raymond?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
All right. Anything more for you?
Oh, that's all I had. Oh, Merry
right.
Christmas, everyone.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
The Treasurer's Office, Mr. Afficano, you have the reports available. Is there a motion to comply and approve the reports?
Polk.
Mr. Long and Mr. Fairfield, second. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And what do you have for us?
Good morning.
Morning.
Merry Christmas to everybody, I guess, first and foremost. The year is wrapped up. We have distributed our final distribution. So the taxing bodies all have all the money they're getting from us for the year. We collected about 0.75% more than we did last year. And we sold less properties at tax sale this year, which is a good thing at the end of the day. It means more taxes were paid, and that's what we prefer. We prefer people to stay in their homes. So the reason that there were less taxes sold, more taxes were paid. And we also, it probably has something to do with COVID, which is okay that it happened that way, but more and more people are taking advantage of other opportunities to pay their taxes in terms of online or at drive-through banks. We continue to give more options, and if you can believe this, we already have taxes being paid right now for the upcoming year. People are already putting away money in the Choices program, so it's a great thing, and we'll continue to move forward. Other than that, I just want to say thank you to my staff who continue to do an incredible job, and thank you to the people of the county. I know paying taxes is not everybody's favorite thing to do, so I'd entertain any questions.
I see none, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
And the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Downey. Once again, the monthly update is available there. Good morning.
Morning. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
The agenda of the monthly update, which you should have the monthly report that's already been approved by Criminal Justice. Just a couple things to point out. In fiscal year 2021, our housing revenue only was $7.9 million. Compared to 2020, which was $8.9 million. So you're talking about a $1 million difference in revenue from last year to this year. Mostly, well, as the number that I'll give you here in a minute, mostly due to ICE, because the U.S. Marshals actually increased by a couple $100,000 in fiscal year 21. So over the course of COVID, our numbers have gone down significantly, not just with ICE, but some of our marshals increase is due to additional inmates from the Central District of Illinois and the Northern District of Indiana. So that has been positive. We are still dealing with the ICE issue regarding housing. That is We have a deadline of December of 31st. At the present time, we still have ICE detainees in our custody. In all likelihood, they will probably be transferred somewhere else, even though there are active groups out there who are insisting that those ICE detainees in our custody get released. I don't know where that ever came up in the legislation, because it didn't, but that is the mindset of a number of people who think that because we can no longer house them, that they should be released to the street. I can tell you that we have had two transports from ICE that have already been diverted from Kankakee, one to Wisconsin and one to Kansas. So as we predicted, you know, these individuals will be further away from family and much more of a burden on family, but that's where we're at right now, and we don't know where the ones in our custody are going to go yet. So a couple other things on the report. Our transports over the course of the year for medical, the courthouse, and juveniles are up significantly. Obviously the courthouse and the juveniles up significantly due to our courts kind of getting back to somewhat normal as far as court cases moving along. And our transports for ICE and the U.S. Marshal are down significantly, mainly due to the courts in Chicago utilizing a video system. So a lot of these inmates and detainees are appearing via video from our building to Chicago. So that limits the transports, which is a good thing for us. And two other things, we have our fatal accidents are up this year to 15 from 13. And our homicides are up this year to 17 compared to 9 last year. So they've basically doubled. Those homicides are countywide. So, and we are, as like everybody in the general public at this point, we are dealing with some COVID issues involving both our staff on both sides, the corrections and the deputies, as well as a small number of inmates. So, questions on the report?
I see none, if you want to go ahead.
Okay.
Sure. No, Mr. Featherin, I'm sorry.
Mr. Downey, are you having trouble staffing your shifts and things with the COVID, or is it just
a little?
kind
Yeah,
of like
obviously it's
aggravation?
creating a little overtime.
Okay.
Because we can't obviously, you know, it's, and I may have shared this with this committee before. If not, if I did, I apologize. But you know, part of historically, we have always had, and it's kind of prevalent in law enforcement in general, or at least corrections, where, you know, sick time, you know, people call off sick. I mean, they, you know, get tired of doing it. They call off sick because they just want a day away or whatever, you know, and we were encouraging people at one point back in the day to say, you know, if you have the sniffles, if you have a cough, whatever, you know, show up to work. And if you don't feel good, we'll send you home. Well, now with COVID, that's all been reversed. Now it's if you have the sniffles, a cough, or whatever, stay home, stay away. Yeah. So, you know, most of our employees are heeding that advice, but, you know, some that are dedicated, they just want to come to work. You know, maybe they are asymptomatic and, you know, they come to work anyway, and then it, you know, gets to others, and you know, you can only do so much to limit the contact and all that. So, but no, we're having a little bit of problem with, you know, we're not having any problem with it. We're certainly backfilling the shifts, but yeah, it certainly affects our daily manpower. Sure.
Scheduling nightmare. Okay, thank you.
So the next item on my agenda, or on the agenda, is the, and it's listed as an ARPA request because that's what I told Kelly to put it down as, but if the chairman or anybody else or Steve feels that it would be a lost revenue issue, that it makes me no difference either way. And the item that I'm looking for is an item called Shield Force. And Shield Force is part of Tyler Technologies, which is our countywide CAD system that our dispatchers dispatch from, our deputies use, our correctional officers use, and every municipality in the county's law enforcement uses. And what ShieldForce is it's basically an app for your mobile phones, which ShieldForce will be able to be placed on every mobile phone of every law enforcement officer in the county. And ultimately that will lead to, with this app, it will lead to the computers that we have in our cars, that the municipalities have in their cars. Some of those computers, a lot of those computers are very expensive. And so, as we all know, technology only lasts a few years, so every 3 or 4 years we're trying to replace computers at about $5,000 or $6,000 a piece. Well, what ShieldForce will ultimately do is as these computers start kind of getting outdated, ShieldForce, we will then be able to replace some of those computers with basically tablets, which are obviously significantly cheaper. So long term, and I caution you to look at this not as a one-time purchase, but as something that will last us well into the future, where we won't have to purchase these tough books and these big computers because of this system. And this is not for just our department. This is countywide law enforcement. So it would benefit every municipality in the county. It gives us 100% accessibility when officers are away from their cars. It gives us, it's just like having our in-car computer with us when we're out of the car. So it's very beneficial. We don't have to go back and forth to the car to put stuff in the computer. We can do it right off our phones. It gives us access to mugshots. It gives us access to criminal histories. It gives us access to see if an individual is wanted on a warrant. So it is very beneficial for law enforcement, and certainly becomes an officer safety issue because of this. It also has a GPS on it. So if an officer happens to be in distress at some point, and he either doesn't have his portable or doesn't have access to a radio, we would be able to locate where he's at. And that to me is worth, every penny when it comes down to officer safety. It will certainly benefit, it will be a huge benefit to a lot of the smaller municipalities who every 3 or 4 years can't afford to replace $5,000 or $6,000 computers. So ultimately it will benefit them as well, probably more so than the bigger communities. So the cost, the one-time cost is $61,800, and that includes, and if I have it's $50,250 for the system itself to go on the phones, and the first year cost of maintenance at $11,550, which totals $61,800. Now, I know one thing with ARPA and even lost revenue, we're looking at what's our cost moving forward after our funds are gone. Basically, that one-time cost is the $50,000. The only cost we would incur, along with the other municipalities, is at $11,550, and that would be prorated with the other municipalities, as we already do with our Tyler system. So each municipality now reimburses the county for maintenance of our entire system. So we would get, the cost to the sheriff's office would be about $2,000 of that $11,000. All the other municipalities would make up the difference of that $11,000 prorated based on size, the number of users, and so on. So it would certainly benefit. Right now, I mean, we bill out over $200,000 of maintenance fees to other municipalities that reimburse us. The county pays our maintenance fees up front. All those counties reimburse slightly over $200,000 a year. So going forward, the $2,000 for our office would, be something that we could certainly handle. So.
Is there a motion on this, Mr. Hunter? Motion to approve. Mr. Long, second. discussion on that, Mr. Wheeler.
I like the idea, Sheriff. I think this is a definite cost savings measure as we go forward. Like you said, $5,000 versus $750 or $1,000 on a computer. It's paid for first year, for years to come. So I like the financial model. Question, if you have this app on your phone, could you get drone footage in a situation where you want to see what's going on with the drone?
Boy, oh boy, you're asking a technical question to an untechnical guy.
That would be really cool, because it's really safety for the officers.
And I am unsure. I know that actually, they mentioned the drone. We actually had the drone out this morning looking for 2 catalytic converter thieves that we ended up catching. So it's, but I know that at this point we don't have that right now. I don't know if it can do that.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Hunter.
Sheriff, thorough explanation. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I even understood it.
Other question, comments? Mr. Searay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, is there a limit on the amount of users?
No,
so,
it is unlimited.
Okay, so you can have, whether it's 200 police officers in the county now, it could go to 400 and it wouldn't add to the additional cost?
For instance, your area, St. Anne, if St. Anne, who may have 8 or 10 officers right now, if they decide to hire 5 more, they would have access to it.
Okay, and then the $50,000, the upfront initial fee, is that a contract, or is that just...
That is the cost of the system.
That's the cost of the system.
Yes.
So once you buy that, you own it. There's
It's
not
ours.
another, in 4 years, there's not another 50,000.
No.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
I will not come back and ask you another 50,000 for that in 4 years. Maybe something else, but not that.
Mr. McCarty.
I believe this would fall under the lost revenue side of ARPA, just for technical.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll make the motion lost revenue.
And
If that's agreeable to the first and the second?
Yes.
All right.
Just for the record, I told Kelly that it was ARPA, so it was my bad.
Just for clarification, same. There's a COVID side of ARPA and a lost revenue side, just so everybody knows. We've separated those into 2 different buckets because there's different qualifications to submit to Treasury on.
All right. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lear?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Aye. Mr. Payton? Aye. Ms. Parker? Aye. Mr. Fairfield? Aye. Mr. Featherling? Aye. Mr. Dunnell?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Yes. Mr. Raymond? Aye. Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item.
Thank you. I know that our deputies and I know that the municipalities will greatly appreciate it. The next item is, the food service bid. We put out the food service bid. We opened it during criminal justice. We had 1 company that submitted a bid. We had 5 companies request and were given the specs and the bid packets, and we only had 1 respond. To give you a little history on cost, and I know Mr. Eckhoff actually asked this during criminal justice, and I wanted to make sure that I answered it to this committee. In 2013, we paid from this same company $3.15 per meal. That's for total for the day. So that's lunch and dinner. The contract was for 3 years with an additional 5 years that we could renew every year, 1 year, in 1 year increments. So it actually expired in March of 21. It actually expired March of this year. In 2017, which was shortly after we began housing ICE detainees, there were some significant changes with ICE's requirements for food, and our food service company, which is the Country Table, we asked them, what cost it would be for them, what changes they would need to make this work. And there was in 2017, we increased via a resolution to $3.25 due to those initial ICE requirements. The current bid today is $3.75, which is 50 cents a meal, which ultimately will work out to likely a $200,000 plus increase for the year. So a couple things to keep in mind as we talk about this. Since 2013, which is 8 years ago, the nominal increase in 2017 to accommodate ICE, like everything else, and we all know, we all see it every day, food prices have increased significantly. Not only this last year, but certainly over the last 8 years. I would recommend that we enter into a similar agreement, a 3-year agreement, and extend it for 5 years in 1-year increments, so that food prices go up, we can adjust. If food prices go down, maybe we can adjust. Listen, we all know that once things go up, they very rarely come down, but there's always that potential. A couple things to also keep in mind with Country Table and their service that they provided us. We have no food issues with our inmates. And I know that this committee and a lot of the general population understand that, you know, you have to provide food for these inmates, and it should be decent food. For our staff, that's one less headache that our staff has to deal with. If an inmate gets a crappy meal, not enough food, he's gonna complain, he's gonna fight, he's gonna throw it back at our officers, we don't have those issues at the jail. The Country Table is very responsive to any needs we have. They have also successfully passed every ICE inspection that we've had since we started housing ICE. You know, it's about, and I'm sure that there are places that maybe are able to feed inmates for less, but I guarantee you that food won't be the quality that these guys are getting. And let's face it, you know, we are in a society, and say what you want about somebody in custody, it is still our responsibility to treat them with compassion and treat them as human beings and respect their dignity. And taking food away from them is not how to do it. So.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Chairman, Country Table is a great local company.
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept their proposal. And
Just a minute, I didn't have your mic on, my mistake.
okay.
Start over.
We'll start over. I wanted to say that Country Table is a great local company, and we've received great service from them in the past. I move that we accept their proposal.
Ms. Weber, who seconds that motion? Discussion. Mr. Hunter.
Sheriff Downey, how often is the ICE review on the food service?
Every inspection we have involves food, or food service. So basically, we get inspected twice. We get inspected by Nakamoto, which is the organization that contracts with ICE, and we get inspected by ODO, which is the Office of Detention Oversight. And
how many times a year is that?
So each one of them are every 6 months, or give or take. So yeah, we're inspected more than, you know, anything.
Mr. Wheeler?
Thank you. Just a couple questions. The ICE standard, that is pretty much the highest standard
Yes.
that you're held to.
Correct.
And we're keeping that even though ICE is not here.
We are.
That should speak to how we value and want to treat everybody. The second thing is, what is the nature of the motion? Is it a 3-year with options? You mentioned some of that. I need to
I would
clarify.
suggest that. If that's.
That's what the maker of the motion is indicating,
We're
yes.
locking in 3 years.
We're locking in 3, and then annually for 5 years, we can
negotiate.
We can cancel it, whatever, after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second degree understood that also. All right. Second indicates they understood that. Any other questions or discussion? Ms. Weber?
What I've noticed as we've gone to building committee is that you're upgrading the facilities for that staff too. So
Yes.
garbage disposal and things have been upgraded, which is good. and
Yeah,
helpful
some of
to
the
them.
things, I mean, the kitchen is, that kitchen was opened in 2005, so it's 21, 16 years old, or 16 years that we've been operating. Yeah, I got to take my shoes off. 16 years we've been operating it, and so things are going to obviously, and they come in to our facility, they have food that they order, that they store in our storage areas, and yeah, it's a really, they do a wonderful job.
I agree.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Hunter?
Sheriff, could you repeat this, clarify this $3.75? What is that for? How many
So the
meals?
$3.75, let me find the actual.
Because I wrote down some stuff and I'm not.
So basically, the lunch price is $1.80 a day. The dinner price is $1.95 a day.
Okay,
That total is $3.75 per day.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
Aye.
Ms. Weber, Mr. Payton, Ms. Parker, Mr. Fairfield, Mr. Featherling, Mr. Dunnell, Mr. Long, Mr. Hunter, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Wheeler. Motion carries.
Anything else?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I chatted with Mr. Payton last night a little bit. So I mentioned to the Criminal Justice Committee, and I think I've tried to keep this committee as up to date as we possibly can regarding our inmates that the Illinois Department of Corrections refused to take for a number of months at a significant cost to our local taxpayers. In attempting to negotiate prices with the Illinois Department of Corrections, their initial offer to the sheriffs, and this is 102 sheriffs in the state of Illinois, was $35 a day for housing. I probably can't repeat what was told to them in an open meeting like this that's public where kids might be watching. However, we said no. Ultimately, the negotiation got up to $70 a day, which we agreed to. They sent out notification and wanted information from us by August 16th of 21. Kankakee County's portion of that number was $796,800, I believe. It's now December 23rd. Yesterday, we received a certified letter from the Illinois Department of Corrections, making official what we pretty much already knew. That based on the amount of requests, that the most they can pay is $35 a day. That's not the worst part. The worst part is, as we received this, date stamped December 22nd, yesterday, they want us to sign a document that has 37, I believe, 37 requirements that the sheriff's office must meet, and we are to have this reviewed by our state's attorney, which I would do nothing before I had them review it. Get this in front of the county board for approval, sign it and return it by December 30th, 2021.
Wow. Who's that signed by?
Jared Brunk. He is the financial guy for the Illinois Department of Corrections. He works for the acting director, Rob Jeffries, who The last time I called the Illinois Department of Corrections, and I've called them a lot, and I'm sure that when they hear my name over the phone, I'm sure they scrambled not to answer. The last time I called, I said, I don't want to talk to anybody else but Rob Jeffries. And I've never gotten a call back. So that's what we're dealing with. Now, obviously $35 a day. The bill I sent them was 790 some. So if you take half of that, you're looking at 300 and some $1,000. And they, I mean, I have a theory on this, that they're not going to pay. I mean, they're not going to pay. They are setting every sheriff up in the state of Illinois to fail. And the burden obviously will fall back on me, because it's going to say, oh, the sheriff didn't sign it, because it specifically says in here, if I don't return this paperwork by December 30th, that any money that was going to be allocated to us will be allocated to other sheriffs. So I bring it to you, and there's nothing we can do today because it's not on the agenda, because I just got it yesterday. So we couldn't vote on it today if we wanted to.
Mr. Hunter?
Question. You just got this communication. Have you been in contact with the hierarchy of the Illinois Sheriff's Association as to what they're recommending our response should be?
Yes. Now, that's only and it's only, I mean, obviously they have no skin in the game. So it's easy for them to say, go tell them to pound sand. But some of the requirements, you know, the ironic part about this whole process is, bless you, they have named this the County Sheriff Support Program. Talk about an oxymoron.
Bread and water. Okay.
Bless you. So, as I said, there's nothing we can do today. We will continue to stay on this to see what we can do. So this is coming, so the state has budgeted $25 million. And this is money coming from the CARES Act, which is the reason why the deadline is December 31st.
Mr. Wheeler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sounds like that old insurance broker game. You slow walk them until they don't have a choice to go anywhere else.
Right.
And I knew a guy who used to do that for a living, so I can say that that's a strategy. I'm just wondering if we should motion to go into executive session to talk about potential litigation. Because I'm not comfortable talking about what I'm thinking right now in an open meeting. I think this is negotiating in bad faith. I think we're held to those standards in every negotiation we do, and the state is not. They're writing their own rules and in charge of monitoring themselves. It's ridiculous. This cost is things that the state should have borne on the state level that local taxpayers had to pay for. So they're being taxed twice for the same thing, if you think about it. To pay for them here and to pay for them at Stateville or whatever.
Yeah, the Department of Corrections budget didn't change.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see this big pot of money the governor has of ARPA money that he is in control of, with a B at the end of it instead of an M, billion. I mean, it's sitting there that he can control, and so to say you don't have money to honor your obligations is disingenuous. At best, it's a lie at its face value. So I don't know if that's what we want to do now.
If the chairman wishes to make a motion to go into executive session for pertaining legislation, I would be open to it.
Litigation.
Is that your desire?
Litigation.
I would go to the will of the committee. I just know, I don't want to act emotionally, but I think we should talk about this away from the public.
Are you motioning to go into executive session for pertaining legislation? We have a second by Mr. Raymond.
Litigation.
For litigation. Excuse me. All right, we have a motion. I think that requires a roll call. Roll call to go into executive session, please.
Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
Aye.
Ms. Weber, Mr. Payton, Ms. Parker, Mr. Fairfield, Mr. Featherling, Mr. Dunnell, Mr. Long, Mr. Hunter, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Wheeler. Motion carries.
All right, we'll give us a second here while we go into executive session. We're on the air. We're back in session for Finance Committee. And the next agenda item is there any other business to come before the committee? Hearing no other business, we have nothing from the auditor. This is getting very repetitive and very upsetting, but can't get too upset because it happens all the time. Any old business to come before the committee? Any new business to come before the committee?
What is the tenor of this committee?
If there is no old or new business to come before the committee, a motion would be in order. Mr. Long, motion to adjourn. Mr. Featherling, seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.